The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, December 1st, St. Alexander Bryant. After the publication of the works of Fathers Campion and Persons, the English authorities made frantic efforts to get their hands on them. In the course of the persecution, they arrested several very active Catholics, among whom was Alexander Bryant. He was a young secular priest. He was born in Somerset and was distinguished both for his apostleship and zeal. He had been reconciled to the church at Hart Hall, Oxford, and had then entered the seminary at Douai. On receiving ordination to the priesthood, he returned to England in 1579. At first, he ministered in the West Country, where he reconciled Father Persons' father to the church. On April 28, 1581, he was arrested in London, as he was precisely in the house next to the one in which the authorities searched in vain for Father Persons by order of His Majesty's Privy Council. The persecutors, determined to extort from Father Briant some report on Father Persons, kept him almost fasting for 6 days in the prison at Counter, and then transferred him to the Tower of London. In order to get him to tell on Father Persons or to compromise himself, the executioners stuck needles between his nails and his flesh. He was the only martyr of that time who is known to have been tortured in this way. When that did not work, he was locked up for a week in a freezing cell in the basement of the tower, and then tortured for 2 days on the rack, to the limit of what was possible. The man in charge of handling the rack, a certain Norton, declared that Father Briant had been tortured more than anyone else. The fact produced such a scandal that the authorities were forced to imprison Norton for a few days to calm public opinion. Father Briant managed to write from the tower a long letter to the Jesuits of England. In it, he describes his first martyrdom on the rack. At the end of the torture, I felt no pain. I can even say that in a certain way I felt consoled and happy for what I had just suffered. God knows whether that was a miracle or not, but it is true, and my conscience bears witness to it before God. According to Norton, whose testimony we quote for what it may be worth, Blessed Alexander suffered more than ordinary after the torture. In the same letter, the Blessed asked for admission to the Society of Jesus and said that he had vowed to enter it if he ever got out of prison. For this reason, he is considered one of the Jesuit martyrs. Father Briant was tried at Westminster Hall, along with Blessed Thomas Ford and others, the day after the trial of Campion, Sherwin, and Cottam, and on the same grounds. The Blessed appeared in the courtroom wearing the tonsure to show that he was a priest, and carrying in his hand a cross made with the pieces of a wooden knife, on which the figure of Christ had been drawn with charcoal. In spite of what he had suffered, he retained an attitude of almost angelic serenity, innocence, and goodness. He was executed at Tyburn on December 1st, 1581, after Blessed Edmund Campion and Blessed Rudolph Sherwin. On today's date, we also celebrate the triumph of Blessed Ricard Langley, gentleman of Ousthorpe and Grimthorpe, who was hanged at York December 1st, 1586, for having offered hospitality to several priests.